Hey there, folks. Jason, Painfully Honest Tech, back again to talk to you about this. The Rodecaster Pro 2, my 5 favorite new features of the Rodecaster Pro 2. Now, if you're not familiar with the Rodecaster Pro 1, that might mean you don't need to know the 5 best features. The Rodecaster, if you're not familiar, the Rodecaster is basically a 4 microphone, 4 headphone output, multi-channel mixing desk that allows you to record either on the desk itself or in the computer. It has these sound pads here that you saw me use at the beginning that allow you to scroll through different things at different times. You can get all kinds of different stuff, like, you know, right now I've got music playing and then I've got other music playing, and you can pretty much just
sort of change a lot
of stuff.
This is all of this
sort of built into the system.
They took what was really good about the Rodecaster, they listened to their customers, and they really made some changes that I think have made this a much more versatile, a much more useful, and a much more user-friendly machine. And that's ultimately the best thing about the Rodecaster, is its user-friendliness. You can take the Rodecaster and pretty much give it to anybody who has at least a passing familiarity with using audio gear, maybe even not. It has a big record button on it, but you can pretty much give it to anybody and they would be able to use it and get a good result. And that's sort of been the big hurdle to overcome in the live streaming, podcasting, content creation world. So what are the 5 things that I like best about this compared to the original Rodecaster? Well, the first thing is just the overall size. This is a 12-inch box, and the original was about 14 inches. When you're doing live streaming or anything like that, having a compact mixing desk is really, really hard to do, and it's also really, really important to have, because no matter what desk you have, if you are doing content creation, you want to be able to have room to move. And the Rodecaster Pro, at just a 12-inch box with all of the ins and outs that it has, we've got 6 faders here, plus virtual faders that we can get going. All of them have their own mutes and solo buttons. There's so much packed onto this thing that the size is now, to me, the perfect size for being able to have it on your desk and not get in your way. If you're showing products or if you're gaming or anything like that, it's not going to be that big a deal. So number one, just the overall size of it coming down a little bit. It hasn't lost any of its quality. It's still a very solid unit. Number 2, and this was a big thing for me, I felt like the lack of this feature on the original Rodecaster made it a very niche device in some ways, and that is the inclusion of what are called Neutrik combo jacks. So not only can you plug in a microphone cable like this, you can also plug in a 1/4-inch plug, whether it's an instrument or another audio source, a line source, an instrument source, whatever. You can plug any of those things in. And so, like, if I were to select number 2 here, and let's say instead of a condenser microphone, I was going to say that we're using an instrument or a line input. A line input could be a keyboard or something like that. Instrument, guitar, bass, whatever. So very, 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 very useful now for a lot of different kinds of folks. In addition to the combo jacks being present, they also now have a lower noise floor, which means the self noise of the preamp is not going to be as noticeable when you have to turn it up. And for lower gain microphones like this Shure SM7B, I'd be quiet right now. So I'll show you here. This is my SM7B. They actually have a preset for the SM7B. And if you're familiar with using an SM7B for any of these kinds of things, you'll know that the best way up to this point to get the good sound from an SM7B is to use it with what's called a cloud lifter. And that's another $150 purchase on top of the $400 that you would spend for the SM7B. But here, because we have 76 decibels of gain, you don't need the cloud lifter. Now, at the price that it's listed, the Rodecaster Pro 2 might not seem like a budget piece of gear. However, if you went over to the more professional side of audio engineering and spec'd out everything that this can do, you would be spending quite a bit more money than just what this costs all in one. I mean, with the effects, with all of the customization, all the different routing options, 4 headphone outputs, 4 microphone inputs, plus what is now number 3, fully customizable pads. So these pads used to just trigger audio cues. So you could get your music going, or you could get some sound effects or whatever. But now you can do even more stuff, and
like I said, change your sound of your voice.
You can program these for MIDI cues. You can program sound automation with these. You can program video transitions, a lot of different things with this through the implementation of MIDI and other things. So it's a lot more like the Stream Deck from Elgato. Now, I still have my Stream Deck set up for all my stuff, so I haven't quite dug into that with the Rodecaster. But this Stream Deck cost me $250. And if I could do the majority of the things that I need to do with the Stream Deck, and I didn't have it yet, and the Rodecaster was here and available for me, then I wouldn't have to spend that. So that's another amount of money that I would not have had to spend with the Rodecaster on board. Now, number 4, I kind of already showed you a little bit of this already. With the new preamps on board and everything else, and the versatility that they bring, Rode has also brought the ability to be more granular in how you control your effects. It used to be, now you see here we have depth, we have sparkle, we have punch. You can turn the processing on and off. So this is the processing off, this is the processing on. So there's the depth, there's sparkle, there's punch. And it used to be that the presets just kind of did those things. And it was okay. When you go to advanced, now you have the ability to basically work with everything. I mean, here you have the high pass filter, which basically allows you to get low end rumble out of the equation, so fans and other things like that won't be picked up as easily. You have the de-esser, which takes you can see it working here. The de-esser takes away some of the harshness when you're using S's in your spoken word. And then you also have the gate. A gate opens and closes when sound is present. So if there's no sound and there is noise in the room, then you won't be able to hear that noise with the gate closed. You can see here the gate has closed, and now when it's green, it's open. So these are all things that some of them you could change, some of it you couldn't. A lot of it was just the presets, like I said previously. But now you can get into the different kinds of processing. You can put on some echo, and here we go with echo, and you can get your decay down, your delay down a little bit. You can choose your low cut and high cut points. You can turn it on and off. And then also you've got some reverb that you can bring in. So here we have a large hall reverb. Now, of course, this is going to be good for people who want to do music related stuff. Here's a small room, medium, large, extra large, and large hall. This wasn't possible with the previous version of the Rodecaster. Not only that, but it didn't have all of these. So some of these are Rode's microphones, and some of these are other microphones, the pod mic, but then you have condenser and dynamic generally. And then down here you have the EV RE20 and the SM7B. I've found that the presets themselves usually do about as good a job as you need to do for something as like this. You know, is it not super critical recording? You just want your voice to be loud, present, and not have external noises coming in. This does a fantastic job of that. But now that you can get in and have more granular control over things like the compressor and the EQ and the gate and panning and all those kinds of things. You just have a lot more options, and it becomes a much more practical device for a lot more people. And that kind of brings me to number 5. Number 5 is the fact that now the Rodecaster Pro is something for everyone. Everyone who has the need to do something with live streaming, or even just if you're a musician and you want to record, you got 4 tracks, you've got all your onboard effects. You can connect it to the computer and dump things in there and go on and work inside of a DAW. You can record straight to the computer. You can record on board with not only a micro SD card, but now there's a second USB-C port that you can plug in an external hard drive. There's just so many more options. Rode has taken what the original did well, and now they've improved it in places where it needed to be improved, and they've taken away some things that didn't need to be there, that weren't quite as practical or necessary. And this machine now is the perfect device for 99% of everybody. The people who don't know how to do audio engineering, don't have that experience, don't have that in their quiver as an arrow. You can just like choose the mic that you have, or the kind of mic that you have, or the instrument that you have, or whatever, and just go ahead and go to town. Adjust your levels so that it's easy to adjust the levels up or down. And yeah, it's now the Rodecaster Pro 2 is pretty much, with these 5 new features for me, pretty much the perfect idiot-proof recording module, live streaming module for anybody who wants to do anything that's sort of a broadcast media type thing, whether it's live streaming or podcasting or video production or any of those kinds of things. So let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. I'm here to offer all of the expertise that I have. Of course, I can't cover everything in one video, and there's a lot more to cover on this. I'm going to have a full review. If there are any features about the Rodecaster Pro 2 that you want to know more about, let me know down there too, and I'll start to make a list of individual videos that I could make to give people more of an idea of the potential for this thing, because the potential is deep and wide. So thank you very much for watching. Once again, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech, so honest it hurts. Until the next time, I'm out.